What has she done over the last 4 years? And you cannot make the excuse that she was the vice president and she wasn't in charge of anything. I think that's...
What do you mean? Of course you can point that out.
Dana, can you tell me of a vice president you've ever heard of who did something remarkable on their watch?
Not that they did anything. Let me tell you this. So
go ahead.
Think about this. Right leading up to the debate.
What a pivot. Just answer the point. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, hit like, comment, subscribe. It really helps us out, and I appreciate everybody who does that. Let's dive into this Mark Cuban, Dana White debate for a little bit. I'm super curious about this.
I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. Hey, Bill. Hey, Stephen A.
What's up, buddy? So what do you say to the idea that the pocketbook will beat you because things cost too much now, and more specifically, more than when Trump was in charge?
Yeah, you can't deny that there's inflation. You can have discussions about why, and I can give you a ton of reasons, but you have to look at the bigger costs. The one thing that freaks out every household is the cost of healthcare. Donald Trump says he has a concept of a plan. What Kamala Harris has said is she's going to take on the...
And now you have Mike Johnson actually on a hot mic in a private donor group, giving a speech there. I don't think he knew he was being filmed, but announcing the Republican Party's intention to pursue, once again, the repealing of Obamacare, which is just, I don't know. There's so many things that the Republicans are doing right now that just, to me, are just baffling. Like between that and the Puerto Rico garbage joke and Elon Musk just openly saying like, yeah, middle class people are going to have to suffer for a little bit while Trump implements his for Elon to come out and just say like, yeah, middle income earners in this country are going to have to go through some hardships, temporary hardships, while Trump initially implements his economic policies is just, to me, just such a baffling closing message. I don't know. Why would you say that? It's just, I just don't. I mean, that's another reason. That's like one of the big reasons why I'm feeling more confident about Kamala is because I see the Republicans right now, and I am just really not impressed with how they're running their campaign, how they're pitching their vision to America right now. It's pretty mind-boggling.
Pharmacy middlemen directly. She's going to introduce transparency directly. And what that means is, because I know I'm in this industry, that's going to cut the cost of your medications by 20 or 30%. This is a one-on-one interview, and then he brings in Dana White here.
And you know our next guest, big supporter of former President Trump, introduced the former president at the RNC, did a very good job, and spoke at his recent MSG rally as well. He is the CEO and president of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Dana White. Dana, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Haven't met you before, but I
caught on camera smacking his wife. You know, in fairness, the video showed his wife smacking him first.
am a huge fan of the UFC, and I appreciate
I don't think it makes it necessarily all that much better, but
what you've added to the culture in that regard. Now, when you listen to Mark Cuban, you know economics as a businessman, but also in relating it to what you see in the people around you. And
we're talking about Dana White, not Mark Rubin. I'm not aware of any video of Mark Rubin hitting a woman.
What you're hearing. What do you believe his argument, how it lands with the voters, Dana?
Well, a lot of
Jig Rob says, damn, thought Hutch would be on the right side of history. Another L for the books. I am so confident that historians, when they write about the Trump era, when they teach about the Trump era in schools and universities 2, 3, 4 decades from now, they are going to look back on the Trump era as a shameful time in this country. I'm so positive that that's how history is going to remember this moment.
One of the things that I've heard, since I've been on here, this election is about competency. It's about competency. When we were talking about diamond out your boss earlier, this isn't about your boss.
If you want to make it about competency, I don't think this race is even close.
This is a world leader. This is the guy, this is a leader of the free world we're talking about here. Trump has already proven he can build a strong economy. He can secure the borders. And he is somebody that allies and adversaries.
Are you ready? Yeah. Are you guys ready? You're okay with us. We're still going to be friends right after we're done. Just do it. I just want to keep him distracted so that he doesn't even realize it's coming until it's go time. Toasty!
Trump did not hold back whenever he smacked me, man.
Respect. Those are all very important things. She has never, what has she proven? What has she done over the last 4 years? And you cannot make the excuse that she was the vice president and she wasn't in charge of anything. I think that's
What do you mean? Of course you can point that out. What do you mean? The vice president does not set policy, period.
ridiculous. She is the sitting vice president of the United States right now. She's proven nothing. She's done nothing.
Would we blame, excess COVID mortality, unnecessary deaths in 2020? Would we blame that on Pence? No, obviously not, right?
I think she's in over her head. She knows she's in over her head, and nobody who is intelligent like Mark Cuban, Stephen A., or any of these other guys can tell me they truly believe that she is.
Wait, did I just call Sark Trump? Jesus. What? Oh my God. What is wrong with me? I am diminishing, guys. Something is horribly wrong in my brain.
The better candidate.
I'm going to have Mark get in. I'm going to have Mark get in, but Dana, just clarify. Dana, clarify something, and then I'll have Mark Cuban respond if he wants, which I'm sure he does. Dana, can you tell me of a vice president you've ever heard of who did something remarkable on their watch?
Not that they did anything. Let me tell you this. So
Go ahead.
think about this. Right leading up to the debate, everybody was talking about that he's never been sharper. He's on top of his game. I was just in a meeting with the other day. They do the debate. The debate ends.
What a pivot. Just answer the point.
And they figure out he's unfit to run, right? He's the sitting president of the United States. He's unfit to run. So now they slide her in, right? Nobody voted her there. Nobody voted Kamala Harris. If she went up against...
She got all the delegates that she needed at the convention. That's how the parties decide who gets the nomination. You secure delegates, and if you secure enough delegates, then you clinch the nomination.
Other Democrats, she would not be in the position she's in right now. Fact. Okay?
Well,
I don't know if that's true. I think if we would have had a mini primary, I think she would have won. I think she would have come out on top just by name recognition. Like so much of primary contests, the outcomes are determined by name recognition. It's the number one reason why Biden won the nomination in 2020 is because more people knew who he was, because he was vice president under Obama for 8 years.
well, it's not a fact.
They slide
but
her
it
in
might have
there. Really? How'd she do last time? How did she do last
been.
time
She was
she ran?
Biden's running mate, and they
She
got
would have never
85 million
made
votes.
Now, the question, Dana, was, can you think of any remarkable accomplishment that any vice president has been able to pull off in the modern era? He's not even touching that question.
But
So-
I hear
so
you.
you're
The process
saying-
was a problem.
Because it obviously undermines his thesis that, Kamala is is responsible for all the policies of Biden.
Let Mark Cuban get in. Talk to your friend Dana.
Dana, I love you. You're so wrong. Trump, inflation was up 25% over the Obama economy he inherited. Ask him about Yemen, where he decided not to take action and allowed 100,000 people to keep on dying in Yemen. Talk to him about his tariffs. What worked with his tariffs? He had 4 years to make tariffs work with China.
Oh, dear. Poor Dana White. Listen, he is not prepared to have this conversation.
China kicked his ass. China took him to court, right? Because he didn't know how tariffs work, and it hurt the economy. The economy was rolling along, and it got so hit by the tariffs that his appointment to the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, had to come back in and cut interest rates 3 times. And then we get to the real point of reckoning, the pandemic. And what does he do? He says, if we don't test people, the viruses didn't really happen. He holds back on resources except for Vladimir.
Donald Trump literally complained that the reason why United States had such high numbers of COVID was because we were doing too much testing. Like, do you guys ever stop and think about that? Do you ever stop and think about how crazy that is to say something like that? To complain, the only reason our numbers are so bad is because we're doing more testing? Like, what can somebody just try to distill what the that logic even was? As if people wouldn't get COVID if they weren't tested, that seemed to be like where he was going with that. It was such an idiotic thing to say.
Putin to keep people from getting healthy. That is not an accomplished president, Dana. He has not done anything. What he got, he inherited. You know what?
Right,
his administration was the same as his personal wealth. He inherited it.
I got to jump in with course corrections here.
Okay.
Number one, the real wages, which is really the only economic barometer for the folks, was up 8.2% in the 4 years Trump was president. 8.2 across the board for working Americans.
I don't think that's true if you include COVID. I don't think that's true. Real wage growth. Real wages did go up under Donald Trump, but I'm that would surprise me if they stayed up during COVID. Did they?
Fact. Under Biden, Harris.
This is the Fed here. Oh, you know what? That actually kind of makes sense because we had so much. It was stimulus. We did such a the United States was like so generous during their stimulus that this actually makes sense. So I'm completely wrong here. I'm totally. It's the opposite. But we started a trend, and that trend has continued under Biden.
It is around.
Which king with $5? Trump is the same man who said if they would just stop counting the votes in 2020, he would have won. Yeah, exactly. It's the same exact logic with like testing for COVID, right?
1%. No COVID pandemic. They have failed. Number two, inflation didn't start because Putin and the Arabs did anything. Inflation started, and I don't know whether you know this, Mr. Cuban, but Biden signed in his first week in office at least 20 executive orders, making it harder for every fuel company to harvest their product, whether it be fracking or oil or anything. The fuel company said, holy you know what, we're going to get hosed because our prices to get the stuff out of the ground are quadrupling, so we're going to do it retail now.
They bring this stuff up, man, and it's like you can just look up U.S. oil production. These are 2023 numbers. We're up even higher now. We like on Biden's watch, by 2022, 2 years into or a year into Biden's presidency, by 2022 we were already producing more oil domestically than Trump was during his peak year of 2019. This idea that Joe Biden stifled domestic oil production is just so verifiably false.
Now, that's what ignited it, not Putin.
I'm sure Cuban knows this too.
Putin and not Saudi Arabia. That is the truth.
And then he gets applause. I don't know. Okay. All right.
Mark Cuban, respond, and then Stephen, please get in. Go ahead.
Bill, you're bloviating. Thank you very much.
No, I kept it pithy. I kept it. Cuomo understood it. I kept it pithy.
I did. There was no big words.
You're bloviating. The point is, yes, inflation. You think inflation just started when Joe Biden took office? That is.
It was 1.4 when Trump left. Inflation was 1.4. 1.4%.
I know. It just shows you don't know how inflation. You just don't. It shows you don't know what creates inflation. Yes, gas contributes to inflation. Why do you think Trump is so big on reducing energy costs? Because they contribute to inflation significantly. And beyond that, we produce more energy than we ever have. We produce more energy now than
part when they started to panic.
No. This was a year into Biden's presidency. They started ramping up oil production right away. He's just lying.
Not in the beginning.
Billy,
no, this is not true.
Do you know how to use Google?
Oh, wait. No, that's where I get my information on Google, right? I actually research government records.
All these government records are a Google search away, Bill O'Reilly.
Whoa, what a concept. Come on, 1.4% when he leaves office, and it goes to more than 9 in a year. Come on.
Let's bring Dana back into this. Stephen A.
Dana, it's good to see you, buddy. I know. I know. Dana.
Fully transparent.
I don't know any of these.
Dana White and I, and Mark Cuban and I, we're all buddies. I've known them both for years.
Must be fun.
Yes, it is a lot. Here's the deal, Dana. Dana, when you speak about Donald Trump, obviously there's a lot of people that look at him and they say, you know what, he did a lot for the economy. I remember that, you know what, he did exceed the deficit to about $35 trillion. What I would ask you, however, is this: outside of the economy, what else has he done that you would deem positive in your eyes?
He's going to talk about like Trump is respected. People fear him, you know. Our adversaries fear him, so he was strong on foreign policy. And he's going to talk about immigration, and what else is he going to talk about? That's it, I think.
Well, border crossings are up over 300%.
There's one.
Since he left office, and that's not including people that
they're actually currently down to levels that are below what Trump was experiencing in 2019. So that's not true.
are undetected. And you cannot deny that the world was a much safer place.
I told you the two things he was going to do. We were so strong.
When Trump was in office. It's undeniable.
Notice how Mark Cuban gets into specifics. You know, he gets into nuance. He dives into the complexity. He starts citing like specific numbers and figures. And what does Dana do? He just does these like vague, he just makes these vague proclamations.
Do you realize that right now there are more armed conflicts right now than any time since World War II? It was a much safer place when Trump was here.
When we think about the only way I'll respond to that is
This idea that the president, it's like, okay, the president has like a lever, you know, and they can push it to and they can pull it fro, you know. And if only Biden would have just pulled the conflict lever fro, then we wouldn't have as many conflicts, right?
You're talking about folks coming across.
It's like the inflation button. Like, we tried to tell Biden, like, hey, don't press the inflation button. What are you doing? And Dark Brandon just looked at us and gave us this laugh and took a lick of his ice cream, and he just pushed the inflation button anyways. It's like, how politically stupid are you to press the inflation button? Why would you do that, Joe Biden?
The borders and
similarly, there's a war lever. And we were telling Biden, like, don't push the war lever. And Biden, again, was just talking about corn pop and then just push the lever.
Obviously, the dangers that it may cause in a lot of people's eyes. What about things that are happening domestically? What level of responsibility do you hand towards Trump in that regard?
Well, not only that, I mean, when you think about all the people that are crossing the border illegally, I mean, this is just common sense. What about all the people that are here that did it the right way and are trying to get in legally, that are being jumped over and being handed money and you know, a place to live, a telephone, credit cards, all the things that are going on? There are real Americans here that are going through hard times.
They're pointing to Reddit. They're pointing to record credit card debt, but that's a number. Like, credit card debt, like the average credit card debt goes up with inflation. Like, it's always going up. So, like, literally, like in 2019, we had record credit card debt. In 2018, we had record credit card debt. In 2017, we had record credit card debt.
That money should be going toward them. And there's nothing wrong with people coming to America. That's what this country was built on. But you have to come the right way. You have to come legally.
No, I got one more stat I want to throw out there. I said that real wages were up 8.2% under Trump. But there is an asterisk next to that, because for Stephen A., they're up 875,000%. And ESPN will go bankrupt if he leaves.
Don't hate him for his success.
That's right.
Don't hate him for his success or because he's pretty. All right, we're going to take a break. Dana White, I really appreciate you taking this opportunity. It's nice to meet.
Really? Is that all they talked about? Really? He just got in there and did like 3 just really vague, stupid Trump talking points?
This way. I appreciate your advocacy for the former president. Thank you for doing it here on NewsNation. Mark Cuban, always a pleasure. Appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for making the
Oh my God. Weak sauce. Let him talk for like 30 minutes. Dana's just kind of silly, isn't he?